Okay. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Pearson. I am the assistant conductor for the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, and I'm joined today by our next guest conductor, Tamara Dorzit. Did I say that correctly?
Dworetz. It was really close
Doris.
though. Yeah.
I was close. Okay, man. And coming up on Saturday, March the 7th, at 7:30 p.m., she is going to be working with our Symphony of Northwest Arkansas Sona on a program titled Behind the Mask. Welcome, Tamara.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
Yes. Well, we are so excited to have you. And so I want to get started just to kind of get our audience a chance to get to know you. And I want to start with just kind of like some like kind of questions to dive into that. So we'll start with the first one. What inspired you to become an orchestra conductor and how did your musical journey begin? How did that all kind of morph together?
Sure. Um, so I'll go back a generation,
Okay.
but quickly. My mom was one of the first women in the University of Michigan marching band.
Nice.
So she played the flute and the saxophone, and she saw all the trumpet players getting the melody. So when I was in elementary school, she positively manipulated me to play the trumpet because she thought it would
Nice.
fit my personality. I was a tomboy and would get the melody, and the people in the sections were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started playing in band in my elementary school here in Fulton County in Atlanta. And it kind of took off from there. In high school, I was really inspired by some of my all state conductors and youth orchestra
Mhm.
conductors. And so I decided to go to Indiana University and pursue music education and conducting and just be a small fish in a big pond and learn as much as I could. And every week, every month, I just got more and more into it and more sure that it was the right thing for me to pursue.
That's awesome. And so you went to college and then what did you do once you graduated? Did you go into the field and like teach after you graduated? How did that next steps happen for you?
Yeah, I was really nervous in college. I remember like what is the right path to
Right.
become a conductor? And actually, it's really crazy. There's a conductor named Laura Jackson. She's
Mhm.
the music director of the Reno Philharmonic. And I had been in touch with her because she had guest conducted my youth orchestra, ASYO, because she was an assistant conductor fellow. So I had her email address, and when I was at IU, I reached out to her and was just asking her all these questions like, how do you become a conductor? Am I doing the right things? Am I taking the right
Yeah.
classes? Am I attending the right rehearsals? I was very concerned about being on the right or the wrong path.
Mhm.
And because I didn't know anyone who had done music education and then became a conductor. And eventually I realized I was on my own path, and that's what made it exciting and special. And I ended up coming back to Atlanta after I graduated from undergrad, and I taught 4 years in public school, 1 year in band, and 3 years in orchestra at the high school level before I went back and pursued a master's in conducting. And I learned so much in those 4 years, and would not trade it for the world.
You and I share similar paths because we were both in education. I still to
Yeah.
this day on top of all the things that I do teach. I have 150 string students that I teach high school. Yeah. So I stay busy on both ends of it, but I think we never get too far from where we are at the ground roots teaching for young to old. So maybe let's dive into the next part. So that's amazing to have a mentor like that. Probably influenced how you studied scores, I'm sure as well. What is your process in preparing for the first rehearsal? Like you've picked out your program. Obviously, we've titled this Behind the Mask. There's a lot of incredible music. What is your process?
Yeah, so when I am sitting down with a score that I've never learned before, the first things I do is I try to gain as much information about the context. So I'm trying to learn about the composer, about what was going on in that composer's outer world and their inner world at the time that they were writing this piece. Because I see my job as a conductor is kind of like a detective, is to try to use the clues that are given in this two-dimensional black and white score and try to uncover kind of the emotional narrative or whatever the composer is trying to share. Um, and and so I'm discovering the score. I'm looking at the harmonies. I'm looking at the markings. I'm looking at the lengths of notes, the pacing, the form, all of these clues to try to uncover what the composer is trying to communicate. And sometimes it's an explicit narrative, and sometimes it's more abstract, emotional. But then I really love the part where I get to try to connect with the music from my own experience, and then share that with the orchestra, and then collectively we share that with the audiences. And I think the more detective work I do, the more I'm able to kind of be free and feel and be connected with the musicians. And I think the audiences really feel that.
I think that that's fabulous, and I don't think people understand like the amount of time that goes into that process of it. So I wanted people to know that that's a little bit of a background and a snippet of what that looks like. As you're preparing for your first evening week of rehearsals with Sona, how are you anticipating building trust and connection with them in the limited rehearsal time? Think we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday kind of thing. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Well, yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question, and it's a great question. It's I used to say that conducting is kind of like speed dating. When you're with an orchestra you haven't met before, and so if I'm in a conversation with someone I've never met before, I would like to do a lot more listening than I would talking. And I think the same thing goes when you're in a guest conducting situation where both entities are getting to know each other. And so I have to balance how much information I'm giving and how much I'm taking in. And because ultimately it's a collaborative team effort, and everyone will be the best there's an environment that can bring out everybody's best, when it's not just the conductor telling everyone what to do.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that they're going to be so excited to meet you and to be able to work with you. And it is a process. You know, I always tell students you have to love the process as much as the end result. And I believe that too in the rehearsal process.
Sure.
Um, so let's do some fun stuff. Not that those weren't fun, but you know. So if you were not a musician or a conductor, what would you have pursued in life? What is like a hobby or maybe something you enjoy doing?
Okay, during COVID, I have to admit I was having second thoughts, and
Oh,
and orchestras weren't doing that
right.
well. So, but I love animals, but I hate blood. But I love animals, so maybe like somehow working in veterinary area, but without having to deal with blood. I don't know, vet tech or something.
Right.
I love animals, so
Take them for
uh,
walks.
yeah, something like that.
And your dog is so cute.
Thank
She has the
you.
same like lemon yellow colors my beagle has, Bella.
Oh,
And is it Emmy? Is that her
yeah,
name?
it's
Yeah,
Emmy,
trying to remember
exactly.
her name. Do you have any fun, like unique pre-concert kind of rituals or backstage routines, like things that you do to kind of prep? You know, like if you're athlete, you like have like these things that you do. You like maybe you put your shoes on a certain way or that kind of thing.
Um, I mean, honestly, I like watching funny YouTube videos to just
Oh yeah.
relax. Yeah, I just try to get into my own body. And sometimes when I'm really nervous, if I'm getting into my head, it's not great. So if I can just laugh and relax and just watch some of my go-to comedians and just remember the big picture, that helps me a lot connect when I'm
I
on the
love
podium.
that. You know,
Yeah.
in real land will keep you like stuck for hours. Like you'll
Yeah.
waste time and not even realize you're wasting time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. That's so fun. Um, w- what is a non-classical music or a genre? And I preface that by saying I think all music in some right or fashion, if it's going to stand the test of time, becomes classic, right? But what is a genre or influence that you approach that influences you as a conductor
Um,
or that you enjoy, either way.
I would say whatever my husband is listening to, he has the real taste for all kinds of music in our family, and he's exposed me to so much music. But I definitely, growing up in Atlanta,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of I was growing up and playing in jazz bands, and there's a lot of hip hop here. I definitely think that influenced me a lot, because it made me realize that music is about feeling, and
Mm.
that's the first part. And I think that actually, and jazz musicians, I love how jazz musicians, they when they're improvising, they're listening so intently to each other, and they're kind of having this musical conversation. But it's almost like improv. They have to really hear what the other person's saying in order to give something back that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think all of that really influenced how I try to bring it to when I'm working with orchestras.
Yeah, because music is a conversation. There's
Yeah.
a question and an answer, and so much of the how it's written. Where do you find your inspiration outside of the concert hall? We talked about the music, we talked about what you do if you were not a conductor, but where do you find your inspiration?
Um, well, right now, I would say it's my daughter,
No.
Nadia. She's 6 months as of yesterday, and it's definitely I brought me. She's brought me to a whole different realm of consciousness, in terms of how I see the world, and so I think she really, really inspires me the most, because I'm seeing everything through kind of a different lens now.
Oh, I love that. And kids do that. I have two of my own,
Yeah,
and it changes your perspective. Like you
totally.
thought you had all the answers, and then they tell you they show you you don't. Last but not least, what is the most rewarding or most challenging aspect of conducting live music?
The most challenging aspect. Um, I would say it's just juggling all of the different parts, and because there's the musical, but then there's also the interpersonal, and there's interpersonal with from the conductor to the orchestra, and then there's also the connection between the orchestra and the audience. There's just so many different levels and different layers going on at the same time.
Oh
So
yeah.
you have to kind of operate at all these different. It's great to have ADHD because it helps to be able to,
I agree.
but yeah, you have to be, you're thinking about what just happened in the music, you're thinking about the
Right.
present, you're thinking about what's coming up, and you're thinking of it, there's just so much going on. So I would just say to somehow be in your body and relax and enjoy and have fun, and connect while perceiving all of that, is probably the hardest thing
Yeah, and you're
for
going to do
me.
a fabulous job at it. Well, let's
Thank you.
dive into talking about the music since we've talked about how we're going to prepare and all of those kind of things. And you can just dive in however you want to. I think is the Dvorak opening the concert, the
Yes.
Carnival Overture. By the
Uh-huh.
way, I have to let you all know a funny thing. So I saw this video and I sent it to her yesterday. This
Oh
guy
yeah.
took a massage gun and took it on the tambourine. If you know percussionists, they're having to do this constantly to make
That's really hard. Yeah.
steady rhythm, and it's very, very difficult. Well, this guy got really smart and he
Yeah.
took the massage gun and did it on the tambourine and it really worked. So there's that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, we'll see
I'm
if
good.
they use it or not.
I'm conducting Tchaikovsky 1812 Overture next week, and it's the same thing. These percussionists, and they went to Juilliard, but they just press the button for the canon. It's all
Right, right.
so.
Kind of hard to do a live canon inside. So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely not.
well, we'll let you kind of dive in. Maybe talk a little bit about like how you came up with Behind the Mask. And then you just talk about the pieces of music, how they tied together for you, and what the audience can expect.
Yeah, so I think it's a really exciting program. So we're starting with Dvorak Carnival, then we're gonna play a suite of three short pieces, back to back. So the first one will be Nielsen's Masquerade Overture, then Anna Klein's Masquerade, and then two movements from Khachaturian's Masquerade Suite, the Waltz and the Gallop. Actually, so then there's four little minis.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's just kind of this collection of music that is about hidden identity, but the composers are from different nationalities, different backgrounds, so they're all expressing that in very, very different ways. Um, Dvorak is Czech, Nielsen's Danish, Anna Klein is British, and Khachaturian is Armenian.
Mm.
The second half is a collection of movements from Prokofiev's three suites, Romeo and Juliet, including the movement entitled Masks.
Yeah.
And this tells the story of Romeo and Juliet. Um, so I'm going to talk a lot more at the concert about kind of the musical examples that
Mhm.
help the composers that help communicate these ideas of hidden identity and secrecy, and how that brings so much excitement to the music. But it's a really exciting program, and I can't wait to share it with the audiences.
Yeah. So how did you come up? Was it like, did you come up with your theme first and then pick your music, or did you pick out the music and kind of came up with the theme?
I was, I think first I came up with the Prokofiev.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, I was looking at what maybe hadn't been done recently by Sona and what the instrumentation, and I think they're interested in playing the Romeo and Juliet because they hadn't in a
Yeah.
while. So that was the first decision, and then it's that's a lot of very substantive, challenging
Oh yeah.
music. So I was like,
Absolutely.
what can we do on the first half? Dvorak Carnival, it's very hard, but super great opener, one of the best
Yeah.
openers, and people have played it a lot. And then actually, a mentor of mine, Mark Russell Smith, he had suggested the idea of the Nielsen Masquerade, and I was like, oh well, what about the Anna Klein and then the Cacciaturian, and let's just put those together and make a suite. Conductors always love to put their own suites together, and so I was like, "Ah, I'll have my go. But so yeah, it kind of just came through that way, and yeah, I think it's a really compelling program, and I'm excited. Hope it's going to be
Yeah,
fun
we're
for the
so
musicians too.
excited. And maybe people will show up in mask. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe,
You know,
maybe.
it's a great theme and it's exciting. Well, we can't wait to meet you. So, is there any last thing that you like to share with our audience as they're preparing? Now, they'll be able to go to Inside of the Music. I have lots of links up for them to listen to that they'll get to do, and some articles about the composers and the music itself. So they'll be able to dive a little bit deeper before they come to your pre-concert talk that you'll give, where you'll be ask some questions and get to know about the pieces a little bit more even before the concert starts. But is there anything that you'd like to wrap up with tonight?
um, I've never been to this part of Arkansas before, and I would love any recommendations you have, like especially if there's any cool coffee shops or
Lots.
restaurants. And I'm just very much looking forward to my time, and yeah, meeting the orchestra, seeing you again,
Yes. It's
and
been since
sharing it with the
Europe. I think
audience.
we
I
were
know.
in Bulgaria last time we were together.
I
Yeah.
think it was 2017,
Yeah,
17,
2017.
2017.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we were
So
conducting the new
small
symphony
world.
orchestra there. Yeah, very cool. I'm so excited. Yeah, there's so many great places there, and you'll and just enjoy it. And the people of Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, are wonderful. I think they're the best. And I know you've been to Little Rock area, right? You
Yeah,
conducted the
exactly.
Arkansas
Very
Symphony. So,
short,
yeah.
like 2 days or three. It
Yeah,
was
so you'll have a
no
little bit
time.
more time here to get to know everyone, and we can't wait to host you and to be able to work with you and see the magic that you bring to the stage. So thank you so much for being with us, Tamara, and say your last name again so I don't mess it up for
You're
everyone.
totally fine. It's Tamara Dworetz.
Dworetz.
Dworetz, yeah. And
See, I practice. You know, I should know these things. When we knew each other, I she wasn't married, and this was not her last
I
name.
could have taken my husband's last name, which is way easier, but I
Right.
didn't. So it's just I know what I was getting into.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, everyone, we will see you coming up on Saturday, March 7th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. for Behind the Mask. And make sure that you join us ahead of time for her pre-concert talk and to get to know her more. That happens at 6:30 p.m. there in the hall. And then be sure to check out all of the great things on Inside of the Music so that you get the best view before you come. We'll see you all later. Bye.